On August 16, 2018, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to our town, the Record, and the community news newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They are immediately to my right and the double doors by the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
All right. We have the town historian and lay pastor Betty Fetzer of the Presbyterian Church to honor us with the invocation. Everyone, please rise.
I've said every time I've been in this position here that it's truly an honor and a privilege, and I thank you for that again and again. So let us pray. We come before you, O Lord, with prayers of thanksgiving and praise for all the blessings we have received each day that you give us, dear Lord, is your gift to us. What we do with that gift and how we use it is our gift to you. Our world today is topsy-turvy in almost all areas. The weather conditions have caused universal hardship and floods and fires and tornadoes, and in some areas even droughts. We pray for the relief and the aid for all the victims, wherever they may be, as well as for those who respond to help all in these disasters. World peace is being threatened on all fronts, so we pray for your intervention so that we can live the lives you would have us live. We realize that our freedoms are not free, so we pray for our armed forces, no matter where they are serving. May they and their families know that they are not alone. We ask for your special blessings on all those who are celebrating this most holy time of the year with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. May your peace reign over all. We pray for our town of Maywood and her leaders, all of whom give of their time and their talent and their knowledge to guide and direct the welfare and the businesses of the town government. We are thankful for our past history on which we can build, as well as for the current times, which allow us the opportunity not only to strive for what's best, but prayerfully to also thrive. And now we look to the future. May all that we do and say be done to your glory forever and ever. Amen.
Please remain standing. One, two, and our nation clap.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know I was looking at you when I said that, but there's only like 3 people. Roll call.
Mayor Cabrera?
Here.
Council members Garofalo,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Gervino,
Here.
Lindenau,
Present.
Maloney is absent, Padavano, here. Borough Attorney Ronald A. Dario.
Here.
Okay, Borough Administrator Roberta Stern will not be attending this evening. She is observing a religious holiday. Borough Clerk Gina Pueblo is absent. Deputy Borough Clerk Sally J. Miller is present.
Okay. Mr. Pontiac, please come up. Give us our your engineer.
I'd be glad to. Honorable Mayor and Council, we issued an engineer's report dated September 11th for tonight's meeting, and I'll briefly go through each of the individual subjects. The first is the Economic Recovery Program project. Our office on September 7th issued a final closeout package for the governing body to consider. Subject to that being moved by the governing body, we would close that project out with DEP. The next item is the West Magnolia Avenue, Magnolia Lane Bridge project. Similarly, we forwarded closeout documents on September 7th for consideration by the governing body, and that project potentially, when acted upon, would be closed out. The next items on the list are William Street, Fairway, Duvier Place, and I'll continue on the next item, which is item 4, Oak Avenue Roadway Improvements Project, West Pleasant Avenue to Parkway. We're just awaiting final documents from the contractor, and then we'll close those two projects out also. The fifth item is the Maywood Avenue Streetscape, the Phase 2, which would continue from the tracks to Hunter Avenue. I believe Ms. Stern's in contact with one of the property owners to address some issues with respect to the amenities that would be constructed along that. I believe that's going to be wrapped up so that in late November we can satisfy the bid schedule with respect to what the grant lists within it. The next item on the list is the 2018 roadway improvements project. That project's been completed. At this time, the contractor's monitoring and addressing the greenbelt restoration. This includes temporary measures to ensure that the lawn is going to take suit, and there will also be permanent measures to ensure that the lawn takes a root. The project won't be closed out until that greenbelt is addressed, and that will occur during the fall. Palmer Avenue, West Passaic Street, roadway crossing the bus stop, and Palmer Avenue, the DOT grant project. A pre-construction meeting was held with the contractor, Frank Mascione Construction. They anticipate construction proceeding September 24th on that project. The next is the 2018 roadway improvement project. And it's 7 separate roadway sections. The bid opening occurred September 5th. We issued a recommendation package, and I believe on for tonight for discussion and potential adoption by the governing bodies, the potential award of that project. We envision that project proceeding in early to mid-October and being completed prior to the winter season. The next item on the list is the DOT Municipal Aid Grant Project, the year 2019 call for projects. I believe the governing body has on for consideration a resolution to authorize our office to prepare a grant application to complete all of Gulf Avenue from Passaic to where it's ended by Romaine. The next item on the list is the Bergen County Community Development Block Grant Project, a year 2019 call for projects. I know the borough has its own grant writer. We'd be glad to help with respect to submission of that grant, which is due December 7th of this year. That concludes our report. I'd be glad to address any questions or comments that the governing body had, though. Sure.
Just 2 comments. For the first item,
Sure.
The Mendez drainage and cleaning. This is from 2009. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, it actually the project started. It was a two separate phase project. It was related to drainage that was constructed in the Mendez and Lincoln area. There was a variety of storm sewers and catch basins that were constructed in that area. And then the second phase of that project was the taking offline of the Spring Valley pump station project. So there are 2 separate projects, all fulfilled within the one grant.
So none of this would have mitigated, like when residents from Mendez came out a few weeks ago, this would have no bearing. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was Lennox.
Lennox, yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that first one.
We did look, on behalf of the borough, we did look at that situation at Lennox, and the issue that arises is if you visit the site, their backyards are actually lower than the parking lot. So what happens is there's 2 separate ways that the homeowner could potentially address this. One would be, but it could affect, and they'd have to get it to work within their backyard, would be bringing fill into the property so that it becomes even with respect to the parking lot, so that they don't create this bowl where water ponds and then backs up into their house. The other would be to install drainage improvements in their property since it is a low spot, and then the borough potentially granting them the right to connect to the storm drain, which is very in close proximity to their property. So those would be 2 ways, but the homeowners would need to do some improvements on their property just because of the way that their properties sit.
Just out of curiosity, which one of those do you
least expensive or more feasible for a homeowner?
I would argue the installation of the drainage improvements on their property and then piping it. That's not to say that it would solve the problem in its entirety, just because the brook is always going to set its steady state as it relates to a 100-year storm backing up into that system. That would address some of the concerns. The way to address it on a more global basis would be the importation of the soil so that they raise their property so that the water doesn't pond there. But that would cost a substantial amount of money for those homeowners to import soil, place it on their property, and then potentially get it to work so that it grades to the back doors of some of their properties. Because I know some people have walkout doors into their backyard, and that can become a little tricky when they design it. Yeah, it would have to be every single property that has this drainage issue. So they'd all have to be on board, because if one raised their property, you potentially would be pinning water on the adjoining property. So the best way of addressing it would be each of them to install some sort of drainage improvements.
There's nothing we can do with the parking lot?
Well, I'm not sure there would be anything that you could do to completely address it, just because, again, if you look at the property sit lower, if there was a way that you, and I'm not even sure this would be feasible, would be to drop the parking lot in elevation to match the backyards. That would be the solution, but I'm not even sure that would be feasible.
Was there a hydrologist or someone that looked at it, or?
No, I personally went to take a look at it. Yeah.
Anyone ask any questions?
Yeah, just the other one, for item number 2.
Sure.
West Magnolia Avenue, I know we all received some emails from some concerned residents, and Mr. Mayor, I think maybe you have resolved the issue already with the curb-to-curb. There were a lot of people who were very concerned about the PSE&G work that had done.
I think what had happened, Ryan, is, as you guys know, PSE&G has a standard that if the property has been paved through the last 5 years, they pay curb to curb. If it hasn't, then they don't. However, on Magnolia, and some of the residents saw what happened on Central, which is what they did. They didn't go curb to curb, obviously, in some of the other streets, so they automatically assumed that was going to be the case. But PSE&G has assured us that they are going curb to curb on Magnolia. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Good job.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? All right, Greg, if you wouldn't mind.
I'd be glad to.
And now we have...
Thank you.
Charles Kuchin. Please come on up, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
I placed on the base in front of you my corrective action plan, which is required each year for the audit. But before I go through that, I'd just like to point to you, and if you go back a couple of pages, you'll see the audit report opinion, which says on page 3 that the opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting for the financial statements referred to above present fairly all material aspects on a regulatory basis, balance sheets, and account groups as of December 31, 2017, which means that we have a clean audit opinion, which is what we want. During that audit process, there are always management comments that are provided by the auditor, and we address them and are required to file those comments with the Division of Local Government Services. So the first 3 pages are my corrective action plan, which I'd like to go over briefly with you. The first group has to do with finance comments, and a lot of this is management comments as a result of our regular operations. We're always going to have things like interfunds. We're always going to have grant receivables. We're always going to have grant reserves, because those things don't fit nicely into the accounting time frame. We always have things that go over year-end. We wait for grants to be filed and whatnot. So you see a lot of that here, and we will always have those type of comments, but it's the auditor's requirement to bring it to our attention so that we can take a look at it. So I'll just go through it. So the first one, interfunds are examined at year-end and cleared subsequent to year-end. They are a result of cash flow issues, which we've been dealing with the borough. So common practice, we have interfunds between funds. Remember, we only collect taxes 4 times a year, so our revenue stream is kind of haphazard sometimes, and we have to pay bills during the year, most notably the school and the county, which are large sums. So from time to time, we interfund between the funds. Capital grants receivable, as I said, when they're old and we've exhausted all of the possibilities of obtaining some of those grant receivables, we do cancel when and if appropriate. The Bergen County program has been billed and received. That was a program for handicap access curbs, which we participated in and took quite a long time to get done. So that was and is part of our receivables, and we did bill the county for reimbursement. Appropriation grant reserves will be reviewed to be determined an appropriate charge in the future. We have reserves for grants because we don't spend them all in the same time frame, so we go through that process. Our accountability for accrued liability, sick and vacation, is now being maintained by the payroll processing company as part of time reporting, so that's an enhancement to the program that we had in the past. Claim reimbursement accounts will be reviewed by council for determination to be made as to the appropriate dedication by rider. We have that situation, council, which we have talked about. Sometimes the riders don't fit into the way we operate in the trust fund, so we need to address that. Capital improvement authorization funding was reviewed by bond counsel, and we've been directed how to proceed with regard to those funds. Capital improvement fund is where we get the down payment when we do a bond ordinance. We have petty cash resolutions that will be processed and addressed at the next reorganization meeting. We've been trying to get the Department of Community Affairs to update their petty cash information. It's been very difficult to do because I think they're shorthanded, but every year we pass resolutions saying who the custodians are for our petty cash. We send it down to the state. They haven't made their adjustments, so we're continuing to try that. We had a current swim pool interfund, and they will be reviewed for consistency. That's another one of those interfunds which you'll see to continue to occur. Payroll agency bank reconciliations are prepared by the payroll processing company now. We have that in place. Grant matches that were made in kind and processed through the appropriate budget items supporting the Municipal Alliance program. You know, we run the Municipal Alliance, and we take some of the in-kind appropriations from other departments. We take credit for that. Item 12, the journal entries posted that are in supported by receipt and disbursement activity and analysis. We have, obviously, all the cash transactions are not all of the transactions that we make. Some transactions are made as non-cash transaction and journal entries, and we have the support for those. The grant subsidiary ledger is adjusted now and reconciled to the appropriate reserves. We had a third-party lien report will be corrected to reflect the liens redeemed, and the outstanding payables for the Maywood Library will be reviewed and addressed as appropriately. The claims account activity is managed through the TPA. The borough records reflect the activity processed through the TPA. That's the finance side of it. The tax collector side, there were instances where the detailed adjustment reports did not agree with the adjustment summary. We reviewed and did an analysis and made in processing adjustments for taxes, so that's now taken care of. There are two instances in which senior citizen and veterans deductions applications cannot be located. We'll talk with tax collector to take more care in filing those deductions. There was nothing wrong with the deduction. In the regular departments, the comment was to payments for training fees were not in agreement with the accounts due per the system reporting, resulting in an underpayment in the second and third quarter. When we collect money for construction fees, some of that has to go to the state for training fees, and there was a little discrepancy in what we actually calculated to be paid. It's all been reconciled at this point in time. There was an instance where goods and services were ordered prior to the encumbrance. We're considering, I spoke with Roberta, we're considering moving to a computer-based requisition system so that the timing of paper flow takes longer than a computer-based system. So we're talking about that, and that should eliminate that issue with regard to the timing of requisitions and when the purchase order is is processed. Informal quotes were obtained for purchases which exceeded 15% of the bid threshold. That is another one that if we move to the computer-based requisition system, that'll all happen before the process goes, which we'd like to do for the new year. The Construction Code Department did not prepare and file the annual UCC report, UCC enforcement fee report. Those reports have been filed at this point in time, and they're now up to date. The municipal court is shared with the Borough of Paramus, and the comments with regard to the court will be forwarded to the Paramus Court Administrator to resolve, and some of those had to do with when tickets were issued and how many were left. There's a regulation about how long tickets can be out without being issued. And those are the management-type comments. If anybody has any questions with regard to those or would like to go over in any more detail, I'm happy to do so, sir.
Anyone have any questions?
Thank you. So, regarding, I think the computer-based requisition system sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Having deal with paper and computer processing before, that's awesome. Regarding the state training fees, are there any internal system changes that you were, like process changes that you were able to make that maybe you wouldn't have those issues?
No. Remember, when we get management comments, there's nothing that's material to the financial statements. Okay, so there are small amounts. So in the calculation of, I don't think there's any system that will do, but just to give you a feel for what happens in the calculation of whether or not the permit should be for a hot water heater and a replacement of a pipe, we may have charged just for the hot water heater, which created a fee for the state of $5 versus a fee for the state that might have been $10. We're really talking about small amounts. So it's just a matter of following what the state sees that as happening. Some of that is a matter of interpretation on the construction code officials' basis. If there was anything that was major, it would have been part of the opinion. Okay.
Any other questions? Chuck?
Yep, I will. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are there any items on the agenda? Okay. Whereas childhood cancer is the #1 cause of death or disease among children. You know what? It's wavy. You see that wavy is? And it's actually reacting to my glasses. So I'm not too sure. And I said I like this. Whereas childhood cancer is the #1 cause of death or disease among children, and whereas around the world 43 children per day, that is one child every 2 minutes, is diagnosed with cancer, and whereas 1 in every 1,000 persons 18 years old in the United States is a survivor of childhood cancer as a result of overall cure rates that have risen to 80% over the past 40 years, and whereas only 4% of federal government cancer research funding goes to childhood cancer research, and whereas lifelong follow-up care is recommended for all childhood cancer survivors due to the possibility of late side effects associated with treatment, and whereas the impact of childhood cancer diagnosis reduces multiple challenges to a family, and whereas children and their families need and deserve the full support of their communities while undergoing treatment, and whereas our community has the opportunity to make a significant impact on the lives of children currently being treated for cancer, childhood cancer survivors, and their families. Now, therefore, I, Adrian J. Febron, Mayor of the Borough of Maywood, hereby proclaim September 2018 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the Borough of Maywood in order to help raise awareness of childhood cancer and its victims. Whereas sickle cell disease is the most common genetic disorder in the United States, and whereas an estimated 100,000 people live with sickle cell disease in the United States, up to 80% are African American, but many different races are affected. Millions are affected globally, and whereas sickle cell disease occurs among about 1 out of every 500 African American births, and the sickle cell trait occurs among 1 in 12 African Americans, and whereas sickle cell disease is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders that is present at birth. To have the disease, both sets of parents must pass down sickle cell genes. There is a 25% chance if both parents carry the sickle cell trait. People who have SCT inherit one sickle cell gene from one parent and one normal gene from the other parent. People with SCT usually do not have any signs of the disease and live a normal life, but they can pass the trait on to their children. And whereas sickle cell disease is diagnosed with a simple blood test, it most often is found at birth during routine newborn screening tests at the hospital. Because children with SCD are at an increased risk of infection and other health problems, early diagnosis and treatment are important. And whereas sickle cell disease is chronic but treatable, although there is no single best treatment for all people with SCD, treatment options are different for each person depending on the symptoms, which can range from mild to severe. And now, therefore, I, Adrian J. Febre, Mayor of the Borough of Maywood, do hereby proclaim September 2018 Sickle Cell Awareness Month in the Borough of Maywood in order to help raise awareness of sickle cell disease and its victims. All right, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Anyone wishing to be heard?
Hildegard Amsler, 65 Edgewood Place. I have a question about some trees that have been recently planted in the midst of probably one of the worst summers that I've ever seen in my 79 summers. And my question is, are they container or field-grown trees?
Sorry, I don't know the answer.
Nobody knows? Let us hope they're container. If they're field-grown, I think it would be a waste. Time will tell.
Out of curiosity, what does that mean? I know what field grown and what container, but why would one be...
Normally, you do not plant trees in the middle of a brutal summer. It's a fall or a spring thing.
They're field grown.
Right.
Okay. But container grown or more...
There is a newer concept now that container can be planted at container grown can be planted at any time, but I don't think the jury's fully out yet on that one, but time will tell. Okay, so we don't know. End of story. Okay. Can't believe that I again have to bring up the crosswalks at Gulf and Passaic. Now, the crosswalk across Gulf has been done. Passaic, about a fourth of it has been done. I mean, is that a new style in terms of painting crosswalks?
I don't think so.
That's pretty mind-boggling. Okay.
Possible.
Take a look at it. It's, I know it's not just a matter of paint, okay? But if we can afford $425 for dog signs, one would hope we can afford paint to finish a crosswalk. It's already a couple of weeks, okay? And speaking in terms of time, there was an incredible hazard that existed near the Elizabeth Court. Yes, it's been fixed, but the length of time that it took to fix it was so insane that actually some enterprising souls, I assume from here in Maywood, put a sleep sofa over the hazard. Okay? Now, was that to reduce the hazard, which it did, and or was it a message that the borough is asleep? Yeah, well, then who can?
The people who put the sofa.
No, I'm asking about the hazard that it took forever to be fixed. Okay?
It was fixed, though, right?
Yes, but it existed for a ludicrous length of time. Okay? I mean, way beyond. Okay? And my other question is, it's October of last year, that's now almost 11 months ago, when the students were here, and there was a granddaughter of a grandmother who had been struck by a car on Passaic. Well, when I looked it up, apparently that was back in 2012. And I know there's things that are in the works, but if you drive across Passaic, there is yet nothing there in terms of a crosswalk. Nothing. Palmer, I'm sorry, I neglected to mention Palmer. Passaic and Palmer. So when does that actually get a crosswalk?
I'd be glad to address that question.
All right, please.
Did you have anything else, Dr.?
Well, I want to hear what he has to say.
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know, I reserve the right to...
One of the projects that I mentioned was the Palmer bus stop crossing, and as part of that, there'll be 2 ADA ramps that'll be constructed, which will be compliant to current code, and there'll be a crosswalk across Passaic Street. That'll be in the vicinity of the bus stop.
But when does that happen?
That project, we had the pre-construction meeting this past month. Construction's to proceed September 24th on the project. I would expect sometime in October you would see that portion completed.
That student was here 11 months ago. The accident occurred some 6 years ago. What?
He said it's good, it's next...
I know, but it has taken an unconscionable length of time to get to the stage that he's
You can't go
referencing.
back in time, man. I mean,
What?
You seem to want us to go back in time.
No, it's just, it's indicative of everything. I mean, there are things now in the works on Spring Valley up there that could have been done a long time ago, and maybe Mr. John would still be with us. But those things weren't done, because apparently there is no interest in providing safety for pedestrians here in this body. Okay? And it's incredibly unfortunate.
That's one of your greatest asinine statements.
It's what?
Things that come out of
It's a ridiculous statement you just made.
Well, then why...
It's a ridiculous statement.
Things that come out of
Well, that lies in the eye of the
I
beholder.
think you should apologize.
I just don't understand. You just come up here and you brutalize.
No, I'm not brutal. I'm
volunteers. I don't
asking
understand
why
you do
are
that.
these things always like, I don't know, the length of time.
If you think you could do better.
The record shows how long.
The record shows, man, she came in October. You're obviously not going to be putting in a cross. First of all, we had to get approval from the county, number one. Number two, you're not going to be doing that kind of construction or painting or anything like that in the winter, okay? So we got the ball rolling at this point. The winter.
Well, we've had a
came in
spring
October of
and a
last year.
summer. It's 11 months.
And this is where we are, man.
Okay, well, I'm questioning the length of time to
And
get
you're also
needed
giving
things
accusations,
done.
which it just
No, I'm asking a
There's a
question.
bunch of volunteers.
If you're
up there
taking
that
it
give up their
personal, that's
time,
not my fault,
that give
okay?
up their time and talents, and all you do here is come up here and brutalize us.
No, I'm
I just don't
asking
understand.
why these
Well,
things take
I
so
can't give you
long.
an answer why.
Okay, end of story then. Maybe that is the answer in
Maybe
itself.
that's the answer.
Maybe that is the
Maybe
answer
that is
then.
the answer. What else do you
All
have?
right, end of story.
Well, let's try to see if you look.
Thanks. Mayor, I'll try and find out the container versus field grow as the J.
Okay, that would be good.
Liaison.
Thank you very much.
I'll get back.
Oh, yes. I'd like to motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, I'm very sorry.
That's okay. Betty Fetz at 652 Grant. I just want to thank all of you for your support and your participation with our 9/11 service of remembrance last week. Appreciated by everyone who was there. Another example of giving up time and energy and so forth and so on. In the list of nitty-gritty, there's a house on Edale Avenue. I believe the number to be 655. I'm not 100% sure of that. It has a hole in the roof. The siding is off of it. No one lives in it except, I'm sure, a few four-footed friends. The hole is getting bigger. The rains are getting harder. There's got to be mold, and I don't know what else. It's supposed to be in some type of litigation. Somebody ought to be responsible for the property. If not the owner, the bank, or whatever financial institution owns it. And I don't understand, I don't know the process, maybe that's why I don't understand it, but I would just like to draw that to your attention. And the other thing has to do with traffic, particularly during school hours, coming down Parkway to Grant Avenue, on their way to Memorial School, as well as I'm sure Mendez is also quite a watched up speed trap. They're in a hurry, they don't leave enough time. One day the line from school went from just about the entrance of Memorial School past my house in the middle of the block before Parkway. And I would wonder if there isn't something they could do to speed, no pun intended, to make it quicker or safer, to see what can be done. And my other concern is it feasible, and a study I'm sure has to be done, at the intersection of Parkway and Oak by St. Martin's be made a four-way stop sign. Because if you're coming up Parkway going east towards Maywood Avenue, you cannot be seen by the people coming in the opposite direction. And they just whip around the corners and on the crossroads and everything. It just is something to think about and find out before we have a real problem.
Honestly, I think we put the stop sign on Parkway. I think that, well, we put one, we didn't put the four.
You have one at
Yeah.
Palmer Avenue. In
I think that it wouldn't hurt to have that whole area stop sign, because it's like a speed, it is a speedway over there. It really is. I mean, 'cause that's the one you take to get right to Briar Cliff, and then get on Safe, and then get to Route 17, if you're leaving town.
Go to Briar Cliff, then you're not anywhere near Briar.
I'm sorry, Spring Valley, Spring Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. You know what?
I've been thinking.
Worst person to do that, too. The very worst person to do that.
Probably tell us why it's called
Just something to look into.
And as for the house on Edel, we're well aware of it. It's actually, no firefighters allowed in that house. It's so dangerous at this point.
Well, then why don't we knock it?
Well, you know what? We are. I can tell you that I can't talk about litigation or anything, but I can tell you things are in the works to remedy it.
It's getting worse.
I know. I do know. And I would not want to go in there to know what kind of mold is in there at this point. But, thank you. Anyone else from the public should be heard? All right, seeing no one, close the meeting to the public. At this point, I'm going to take a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of litigation and personnel. Would that be personnel? Wait, I'm sorry, would that be personnel?
Yes.
Okay. And it will not be long, we're going to come back out, but,
I don't know if you want to do two separate sessions. I have one that's going to be a little bit lengthier.
we should do that one at the end,
All right, I'll just...
because these have to do with our professionals.
Yep. Motion to go to close. Second.
All in favor? Okay.
All right, so if we resolve the mayor and council of Borough of Maywood, pursuant to the provisions of the Open Meeting Act, mayor and council in closed session to discuss the following subject matters: litigation and personnel. If resolved that a precisely determined time of discussion conducted in such closed session can be disclosed to the public and undertaken final action thereon, provided disclosure shall not violate the attorney-client privilege or constitute undue invasion of privacy. If resolved, the mayor and council of the Borough of Maywood will return to open session after this meeting.
Okay, take the motion to go back to the regular order of business. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, committee reports. Councilman Garofalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have a couple things this evening.
Yes, you jumped a lot.
Approval of minutes.
Oh, I missed the back here, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm like...
All right, we have no ordinances. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion for the approval of the August 14, 2018 work session and closed session minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Alden?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Padavano?
Yes.
Presentation of bills and claims and request for public comment. The deputy clerk presented the bill resolution. Is there anyone from the public who should be heard with regard to the bills at this moment? Seeing no one, is there a motion for the approval of the bills list?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Garofalo?
Yes.
Alden? Yes. Trevino?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Padavano?
Yes, but abstain from Biglia Electric.
Correspondence and report of the deputy borough clerk.
I just wanted to advise that at the conclusion of our meeting, all council members will be required to sign the affidavit for the audit, the group affidavit, so that will be done after we finish with our resolution. And I'd like to again thank everyone that comes by our window and asks after Jean. She really appreciates her comments, and we pass everything on to her. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Hilda. All right, and I'm looking forward to seeing her back as soon as possible. Thank you.
We all are. No offense to you.
No?
You do it. You are. All right. Thank you, sir. Report of Borough Attorney, I didn't give one close, you have those. Okay, thank you, sir. Now, committee reports, Councilman Garabal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of updates. So the Board of Health meeting again this Thursday was canceled. The next meeting is October 18th at 7:30. And then the next Peterborough Aircraft Noise Abatement Advisory Committee, you'll be going to, is October 24th at 7 p.m. I can only bring 2 guests. So I know John wants to come see. It'll be my second.
Okay. Thanks.
So, and that is all I have for tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Holman.
Mr. Mayor, just some announcements. Sports gear.
Oh, I don't know why they turned off.
The sports gear swap and go is still going on. It's on an appointment basis, and anybody can contact Lisa Shealy at the Borough. There is a lot of very good newer equipment and cleats and shoes, and a lot of good sports stuff that we assembled over the past year. So I would encourage you, if you're shopping around for some sports gear, definitely give Lisa a call before you go and pay retail. There is a free leaf. The town is offering free leaf bags in 2018. There's a nice colorful form here to fill out to make a request. You fill this out, complete this at the Borough. There'll be a town-wide garage sale Saturday and Sunday, October 13th and 14th. Pick up application at Borough Hall if you want to participate. There will also be a hazardous waste collection event October 14th at Bergen Community College, and there'll be a recycling event for electrics, computers, and tire recycling at Camp Laurel Mountain on Sunday, October 21st. Those are all from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And finally, there will be a town-wide paper shredding event on Saturday, November 3rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 452 Maywood Avenue. I believe it's I'll have to Google it, but I will get back to you on that. And just want to thank and recognize Lisa Shealy for really doing a lot and promoting a lot of the recycling events that we are doing and keeping me informed. So thank you. That is it.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Trevino.
Thank you, sir. For the Municipal Alliance, while we're talking about Lisa Shealy, she'll be attending the county meeting to discuss filling out quarterly reports and documentation. That'll be on Thursday, September 20th. Tomorrow night at 6:30 will be the monthly library meeting. And I just wanted to thank Patricia and the auditors for all the work that they've done. The audit and finance work. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. DPW have rebuilt the Welcome to Maywood sign at the corner of Maywood Avenue and Essex Street, along with a new decorative garden wall. Looks pretty good. They will also be working on a new flagpole at the corner of Spring Valley Road in Memorial Park. The power project on West Pleasant Avenue is almost complete. We will no longer be dependent on PSE&G, and we have lighting issues with our Christmas lights. So that is huge, yes, because it was very frustrating to see half of it lit and sections of it lit. So we addressed it. A couple new meters were put in, some new lines were run. So when there are issues, we can address it ourselves with our own DPW. We don't have to worry about being somebody else's disclosure. The DPW completed some various concrete sidewalk projects around town. They did a lot of work on Fairmont near the school. In the next week or so, they'll be continuing the concrete work near 15 Park, as well as some other places throughout the town. They'll be doing work on the west side of town, addressing the outstanding potholes that were not done because the weather kept interfering with progress. So there's some stuff on the west side of town that they're jumping on with that. Some of you may have noticed there is a stockpile of rubber mulch in the pool parking lot that was donated, and it is going to be distributed to various parks throughout the town. And in Roberta's absence, she asked me to bring up a few things. Going on to the Fall Festival this year, the second annual Fall Festival Chili Cook-Off. I'm hoping to redeem myself in at least place this year. You can contact the administrator's office if you're participating, or get an application online for that. Also, new this year, apple pie contest, first annual. I know we have at least one.
Just one.
Just one as of right now.
Applicant
So if you can bake.
Oh, thank you, Betty.
No, bake a pie. Bake a pie.
No, you don't want that.
You and Mrs. Smith can do it. Those applications are also online, or you can contact the administrator's office. There's a new thing that they're doing. Painting in the park will be available at the festival. There will be 3 45-minute sessions, 1 o'clock, 2:15, and 3:30. You will be painting with acrylics and your choice of one of these pictures. So if you want, there's more, there's 5 of them, I'm sorry. So if the kids can come up, or if you want to sit down and paint. Wow. Halloween. Yeah, it's all fall and Halloween themed painting. So that's something new that we're doing. Ages 7 and up, please. Let me see what else. This is the application for the chili. This is the application for the apple pie. If you want to partake, please do so. And that's that. And the new playground equipment should be installed within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And there will be signage advising residents when the playground will be shut down for the removal of the old equipment and the installation of the new. And a sign that says, "Dear residents, please be advised on or about September 21st for approximately 2 weeks, Memorial Playground will be closed for the removal of the old equipment and installation of new playground equipment." So that sign will be posted around the park so everybody knows and has a heads up that that park will be not usable for a few weeks. That's all I have tonight.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Trevino, can you, I think I'll be there tomorrow with you, but just in case I'm not at the meeting from at work, I get out late, can you please ask the director if she would have a problem putting the 2 applications in the library at the desk for the pie contest and the chili cook-off? Sure. Okay, thanks. And if I'm with you, just one of us will talk. Okay. Council President Paravano.
I do not have any visual aids this evening.
Thank you for your assistance.
In building department, the office of the construction official, there were $9,771 collected in permit fees from August 14th to September 18th. And Lisa Shealy has been on her game this week. She gave you a whole report to do about recreation. The summer theater program was very successful with 32 participants and 4 sold-out shows, and the fall theater program is already in session. The full-day summer club had 115 participants. The children enjoyed the Maywood pool, trips to the movies, ice skating, Gogosphere, and bowling, as well as the everyday arts and crafts, sports, and other activities. And there was a new program, field hockey, this summer with 8 to 10 participants, and that will continue this fall. The rec theater program for the winter is actually putting on the Nutcracker. They meet Sundays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 6, and Tuesdays and Fridays from 4 to 6:30. And the performance will be Friday, December 14th at 7 p.m., Saturday, December 15th at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Basketball registration is open for the MYAA. It will be open from now until October 5th. And cheer registration is starting on September 30th at the Fall Festival and will go for about 4 weeks. I also wanted to mention about the food truck festival on Sunday that the police officers sponsored, and I just wanted to say how great it was. It was hot, but there was tons of people there, and the food was great, and all the police officers were involved, and they did a great job. So thanks very much. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Speaking of Lisa Shealy, your art director, here's the problem. She did such a wonderful job, along with Chad Carloccio, on the play, that I think we should have them in and maybe give them a little commendation, because, and it wasn't easy. There was some severe heat this year, and they took some abuse from one of the parents, uncalled for, by the way, but I believe that just year after year, just they've grown this program to such an extent. It's one of the prides of our town at this point. So I believe that we should have them come on in and see if Roberta can set that up for the next meeting.
You know, a mom actually mentioned to me how wonderful the theater program is, because her kids are not into sports at all, and it has gone right through the summer, through the winter. It has been wonderful, she said.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he loves doing it, Chad loves doing it. I want to read something from my website so I don't get this wrong. All right. Girl Scout Troop 4024. They're doing a drive. Two of the girls for their silver award are doing a drive for baby supplies from the list below, which I'll read some of the supplies. All items will be given to a shelter for single and young mothers. Collection boxes are located at Maywood Avenue School, Maywood Memorial School, downstairs Borough Hall, and the Maywood Library. Donations are greatly appreciated. Some of the supplies needed are ShopRite gift cards, Walmart gift cards, wipes, diapers, newborn skull caps, newborn mittens, pacifiers, bottles for newborns, onesies, winter clothing, boys and girls, or a monetary donation that will be used to buy a stroller and or car seat. All the items need to be new, and this is a wonderful cause, I believe. Most of these women were, unfortunately, in some bad situations. Some of them got thrown out of their house because they were found out they were pregnant. Just the shelter helps these women out. And it's a wonderful cause, and I think the two girls that are doing the project, I know one of them very well, and it's my daughter, and they're shooting for their silver award, and eventually then they'll get their gold. Right, Betty?
Yeah, I hope so. So we're working for it.
Next, I am in receipt of a letter from Chief Pegg informing us that as of September 30th, this year will be his, for our written agreement, will be his last day. After serving for almost 38 years and chief of the department for the last 14, Chief Pegg, well-deserved retirement. His footprint, handprint is all over this department. I believe we are pride of Bergen County, certainly pride of this town. One of the best departments in New Jersey, definitely the best department in Borough County. And I think it's all through his leadership and the leadership under that and the men. It goes right down to the last man hired. And his position will be filled, like all of ours one day will be filled, but his shoes will not easily be filled. So I want to thank him for what he's given to this town. He's a paid employee, but he's also a volunteer. He bleeds Maywood red. Also, I want to, an individual from our neighboring town, Lodi, passed away. He contracted West Nile virus, so I want to send my condolences to his family and to the community. And lastly, I want to wish everybody happy Yom Kippur, all our Jewish friends. Resignations. Patrick Gilday is a full-time police department telecommunicator effective September 4th, 2018. Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Garafalo,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Trevino,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Padavano.
Yes.
Appointments. James Whirling as a full-time Police Department telecommunicator effective September 17, 2018, at an annual salary of $35,000. Number 2, Patrick Gilday as a part-time Police Department telecommunicator effective September 18, 2018, at a salary of $18 per hour. Is there a motion for the appointment?
Motion to appoint.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Garafalo,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Trevino,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Padavano.
Yes.
Council approves the following. From MH5K Committee, request to hold annual Maywood Hogs 5K race on Sunday, September 30th, 2018, with a start time of 9 a.m. Number 2, request from Maywood Fire Police to use the Fairmount Avenue parking lot Saturday, October 27th, 2018, from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. for trip participant parking. Number 3, the Women's Club of Maywood, New Jersey, requesting permission to hold an on-premise draw raffle at 145 West Magnolia Avenue, Maywood, on Thursday, November 29th, from 2018, from 7 to 11 p.m. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Garafalo,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Trevino,
Yes.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Padavano.
Yes.
Resolutions by title.
Resolution 13318, certification of 2017 annual audit. Resolution 13418, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Gulf Avenue roadway improvements project. Resolution 13518, resolution authorizing cancellation of tax liability due to total and permanent veteran exemption. Resolution 13618, authorizing grant agreement between Borough of Maywood and the State of New Jersey by and for the Department of Environmental Protection Grant Identifier FS19006. Resolution 13718, resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation NJSA 40A-4-87. Resolution number 13818, a resolution ratifying and confirming the purchase of SIG Sauer weapon suppressors 5.56 for the Maywood Police Department with funds from the DEA account. Resolution 13918, resolution authorizing a shared services agreement between the Borough of Maywood and Borough of Paramus for leaf collection and disposal. Resolution 14018, resolution authorizing a shared services agreement between the Borough of Maywood and Borough of Paramus for grass, brush, vegetative waste collection and disposal services. Resolution 14118, resolution authorizing the 2018 to 2020 municipal snow plowing agreement with the County of Bergen. Resolution 14218, resolution authorizing final payment for Magnolia Lane New Roadway. Resolution 14318, resolution authorizing final payment for Maywood Sanitary Sewer Improvements, NJ Environmental Infrastructure Trust. Resolution 14418, resolution authorizing award of contract for the 2018 Roadway Improvement Program Phase 2. Resolution 14518, resolution approving settlement of litigation with Empire Real Estate Holdings, Inc. in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey. Resolution 14618, a resolution ratifying and confirming the installation and cost thereof for playground equipment in Memorial Park. Resolution 14718, resolution approving the lease for the maintenance of public transit shelters and for the concession for the advertising thereon in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey. Resolution 14818, resolution authorizing execution of an agreement for professional services with the County of Bergen Department of Health Services for the 2018-2019 flu vaccination clinic program. Resolution 14918, resolution approving entry into a settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing Center in the matter of the application of the Borough of Maywood. And Resolution 15018, resolution authorizing the execution of a cooperative agreement with the United States Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Agency.
Is there a motion for the adoption of the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Carabello?
Discussion. Sorry. Regarding 14618, the resolution ratifying and confirming the installation and cost thereof for playground equipment and more park. We just said the playground equipment. I think we had asked if there was grant money available for that. Is that something that we were able to secure, or is this coming out of?
I believe this is from the Open Space Trust Fund. This is money that we put in initially, if you remember, for the amphitheater, and I believe we got they approved it, and then we did we asked them to do a change order, what we call a change order, not what they call a change order, and then that's how change of scope, and that's what this is. So it was a matching grant, Open Space Trust Fund's a matching grant.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Carabello?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Lindell?
Yes.
Carabello?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any new business?
I have two things that I wanted to bring up. One is there's on Grant Avenue, as you go to the park, walking to the park, the sidewalks just kind of end. And there's like 3 houses there that don't have sidewalks, so you kind of have to, if you're on the going north,
on Betty's side or the other
going
side?
north, yeah, on the west side of the street.
Not
On the west side of the
Betty's on the
street, right, on the other side of the street.
Okay, west side.
So as you're walking up the west side of the street, it just stops, the sidewalk just stops. And there's about 3 houses of just grass.
Grass, yeah.
I don't know if there's a way that we can look into putting sidewalks there. I know there are trees literally right where the sidewalk would go on one of the properties. But I know a couple times I've been walking that way and forgot. That's across, and there's also no crosswalk. That's the second part of it, is there's actually a
Driveway apron.
yeah, but there's no crosswalk to the gym on that side, the new gym. So I don't know if we want to think about putting a crosswalk there, or if we're getting rid of the apron. Because people definitely try to cross there all the time.
I think the driveway apron is used by the DPW vehicles.
No. It looks like a crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a crosswalk.
It's something we could bring up with the engineer at the next meeting, next meeting's here. It's an easement, so I mean, we have 10-foot right away.
They discourage crossing there at school.
Yeah.
They want people to cross down by the crossing guard and not at that spot.
I think that's the reason why it wasn't there.
I think
We've
this
had this
came up,
conversation
yeah.
a couple of years ago, this exact conversation, and I'm not sure who it was that brought it up, and the reason was they wanted people in front of the crossing guard, not at the corner.
Right. They discourage crossing right there. It's very dangerous.
Well, that's
Right. Officer Donatello,
Now
you know.
we're just talking about children, but then there's an adult factor as well.
Mm.
And I don't want Matt just forgetting and walking struggling.
That willy-nilly jaywalking.
It's something we could bring up with the engineer, and then obviously at that point we would have to talk to the school and see where they are on it.
Would you have to get approval from the property owner?
Sidewalk.
Well, for the sidewalk, that's something we have, we would work with, we do have the easement, we can do it, we wouldn't just show up with.
Right. Yeah. Hey, we turn up your lawn.
And finally, obviously, have to speak with with Darrell Worrell and Chief and see where they are on this as well. But okay, some discuss. Yeah. None of the ideas are home run, but some ideas are home run. We'll see where we go with this.
Looking for a single. Maybe a double.
We'll see.
The other was over the summer there was some spraying, and I think it has been brought up, but also, I actually, in full disclosure, it was my niece's birthday party. So I noticed as I was walking there that the signs were there. And so it's telling you not to have kids and dogs on there, but it's a park, it's a public park. And so I'm not sure how, and also it's literally her birthday party at the shelf. So.
Yeah, the signs go up right after they do the herbicide that they put on the grass, and that grass is the herbicide is mostly to kill that white clover that attracts the bees, and I'm sure it kills some other weeds there as well. It's not toxic, but by law they have to put those signs, and then after I think it's 6 or 8 hours, whatever the time, it can come back up and it becomes inert. But by law they have to put those signs up.
Did the signs stay out longer maybe than they needed to be?
It's possible, because the company, I don't know, what I don't know is whether the company, if Roberta was here, I would know the answer, whether the company was supposed to come back and do it, or our DPW was supposed to come back and do it. And if it was our DPW and they did it on a Friday, it wouldn't come back, they wouldn't be there until Monday to do it, which is probably the case. And I know we did it for a couple rounds throughout the year, just because what was happening is kids were, at the games, kids were having problems with the bees, and some of the kids have allergies, and the coaches and the parents gave us some heads up on that. Okay. Thank you. Let's remember to talk to the
Morning business.
yeah. One second. Let's not forget to talk to the engineer about that. To see where we go with that. I think he'd be the first step. See if we can do it. What's entailed, and then we'll go from there. Otherwise, we're just going to have to get like a buzzer or something to get close to that.
Like the invisible fence.
Stay off your phone.
I'm
Laura,
sure
no problem.
it's not even that. It's just, I'm sure other people would like to walk to the park.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I know you were like, I know you were in the middle of Pokemon Go.
I was. I really did. I got it too.
All right, what other new business do we have?
I don't know if it's new or miscellaneous, but an idea.
Miscellaneous.
I have miscellaneous.
I'm wondering if on at least a quarterly basis, may not have to be a monthly basis, but on a quarterly basis, if we can get a report of the grants we've applied for and the status, just like a grant writer's report, just to see what we're going for out there.
We absolutely can. I actually have a report right here for the last 5 years. But yeah, we absolutely can. And if anybody, as always, I know you guys are new this year, but the direction is, if you have any ideas, something that you're interested in, that you think that a grant perhaps could be there, bring it up. We'll ask the grant writer if there's something available. Let's get something on the list.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, now we're on any old business.
I have old business too, but I also wish we were new business. So one of the things I brought up in the past was the cone stop signs for pedestrians. I'm not sure if she looked into that on some of the crosswalks. It's just a little thing that I'm guessing it would not be super expensive. Just to get people to start to at least pause and think that they might need to stop at a stop sign at a crosswalk. I mean, so this is a thought that I had. Maybe I'll email her.
We're in the process of once this phase 2 starts of streetscape. The street improvements. We're going to be doing a lot of the thermoplastic painting of some of the more hazardous crosswalks in town. Hopefully to have all of them done at some point within the next few years, but at this point, start this year, identifying the most hazardous, and we'll work our way down. Old business, that was it. Anything else? All right. Send that email to Roberta. If I see her tomorrow, I'll try and get that up. Yeah, here we go.
I have something for miscellaneous business this evening. I wanted to remind everybody that on Saturday, the 8th grade car wash is at Maywood Avenue School from 9 to 12. It's the 8th grade's biggest fundraiser for their trip to Washington, D.C. $5. Everybody go get your car washed.
That really doesn't count. Miscellaneous business of the council.
I am not the board ed liaison, so it does count miscellaneous from me as a council member.
You just pass that on to the board.
Ron Barrier, he's not here, the board ed liaison.
Well, then you can pass it on to the mayor, that's not...
Miscellaneous, anybody else agree that it's miscellaneous?
It's miscellaneous. I was going to say something, but I don't know if it's miscellaneous. It's there. But I like that.
Yeah,
Are you going to say something?
All I was going to say was, I had run recently a 5K in Park Ridge where the fire department had their ladder truck.
This is miscellaneous, because it involves...
They had their ladder truck there at the start of the race, fully extended with a very big American flag hanging from it. I thought it looked fantastic. They did it last year, and we did it, my daughter and I just ran it this past Sunday. Prior to this, I had reached out to the liaison to the fire department, and we got the blessing from the chief that as long as they could put a crew together, they will have our new ladder truck at our 5K and a flag fully extended at the start of the race. So
That looks the place.
it'll, it looks really nice to see it. It's something else to see it set up like that. So, that should be there.
Yeah.
For the 30th. And I will be participating. The mayor, you running?
Yes.
Anybody else running with us? Walking? Anyone?
I'll be there to cheer you on.
Okay. Please support this race. It benefits the Hawks. And it's a great town event. And it's a good kickoff to the Fall Festival. That's all.
Thank you. That is miscellaneous business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks for the education.
It has to do with borough business that we control.
Under
Like
miscellaneous,
25th?
under miscellaneous, where you start? Where's the engine going to be? Where's the flag going to be?
We're going to have the engine on...
I would say in the cutout.
On Fairmount.
Why on Fairmont as opposed to on Grant in the cutout right in front of the school?
Yeah, that would be cool, because
So you could run right past it then going when we start the race. The race is on Grant. The race starts right in front of Memorial School by the park. It starts and finishes
And
right
finishes
there.
there.
Is that where the truck's going to be then?
I mean, we haven't discussed with the fire department yet if there's going to be room for them to have the outriggers and anything.
We're going to extend the ladder to make sure that the lines...
The power lines and stuff aren't going to be affected. I mean, that's where I'd like to see it, but we have to probably get up there with somebody from the fire department and get an idea.
Something like that.
Yeah. You said you were guys. I'll talk to the liaison. Yeah, you talk to the... So the race starts right there, moves in that quarter of the town, down at the Briar Cliff. Yep. And you know. You'll be waving to me from your house. So yeah, well, I guess we should get somebody from the fire department up there, that has some authority. Yeah.
All right. You know what, I believe I might have some miscellaneous business.
Oh, look at this.
And I think this involves the historian while we have her here. 125 years coming up.
You bet it is.
Coming up.
Next year, the official anniversary will be June 30th, 2019. But we can do a whole year of anniversary stuff. And we are working on next year's the whole thing for 2019. And a couple of things in the fire that haven't gelled yet. So, but I think to keep it in mind and to have town-wide events honoring the 125th anniversary. Big thing is that if you're planning anything that requires outside entertainment, bands, groups, whatever, keep in mind that on the date of June 30, 1894, 60 towns became independent boroughs, townships, and a village. So other people in this Bergen County area of ours will be celebrating the same 125th anniversary. I remember it well. I was there when we signed the papers.
And you were in this story then, too, right? Betty had George Washington's beeper number.
One.
All right. Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
I know that this year's parade is going to be something special. Our fireworks are going to be something special. Not this year, the upcoming
Next
year.
year, 2019.
Yes. So we're going to look to double up on the bands, double up on the fireworks,
Good.
double up on the festivities. Okay. We've already had our closed session. So at this point, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your diligence.